Hi, Stamper fans. Welcome to another Make It Monday. Thanks for joining me, whether you're watching live on Facebook or if you're catching the replay on YouTube. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm Nan Gurlitz, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Bloomington, Illinois, and I'm here to help you connect with your people, whether that's gathering together to craft or you making handmade items to share with them. It's all about making and deepening those connections. So real quick before we get to it today, happy St. Patrick's Day. And how did it take me until last year to realize that I'm in the middle of shenanigans? I'm always in the middle of shenanigans. So that's my fun St. Patty's Day shirt from now on, because seriously, how did I miss that? Hello, Penny. Okay, so let's get to it for real, because I know you guys are not here to look at my shirt. You're here for stamping. So, okay, first Friday night Stampin' results as always. So overwhelmingly by like a 2-to-1 margin, you guys loved the walrus card, which I'm so happy for. And that was the Stamper Man Russ's card. Very subtle, very monochromatic, which is why he kind of figured that he wasn't going to win. But you guys love a classy, cute critter. So, and mine was, this is actually using the bee stamps. So these are the bee bodies. So they basically have little stinger tails, but I just hid all those and then stamped on top of them for Easter eggs. But one of my friends said that she originally thought it was a basket full of yarn balls. So that's another idea. So too fun for that. And actually the Stamper Man also used my sketch from last week's email newsletter. So if you're not on that email yet, get your buns over there and, subscribe so you can use the sketches too. I am always at the center of shenanigans. I know, like, how did I miss that for so long? Okay, tonight it is Technique Week here in the studio, and we are working with masks or stencils, if you'd like to call them that. Stampin' Up! Calls them masks, so that's what we're going with. But I'm using a new bundle that I got called the Thankful Garden Bundle. So it comes with the stamp set, which has beautiful hydrangeas, and I'm not quite sure what these are, but they're pretty. So you can color them whatever you want, right? Some leaves and whatnot. And then the bundle comes with dies and the masks. So we're going to be using all of this tonight. All right. I've done part of the work ahead of time, but we're going to go ahead and do, the important part, all the stamping and masking and everything. We're doing that on camera because that's the part you guys want to know about. Okay, so we're using the big hydrangea image. I love hydrangeas. One of my former bosses got me a hydrangea for, I don't remember if it was Mother's Day, if it was like, Administrative Professionals Day, something like that. And I have managed to keep it alive for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now. It does not bloom anymore right now. That could be because of the size of the pot, could be the placement, I don't know, but it's alive. It blooms a little bit. It just doesn't get really big. All right, so we have a beautiful hydrangea. And I am just going to use 2 ink colors on this, the Fresh Freesia and Garden Green. And those were taken right from the designer papers that I'm using tonight, which you'll see in a little bit. So we need our blending brushes. And I do not have one for every color that Stampin' Up! Makes. I don't have 50 some brushes. I have a couple of sets, and I've basically just used one for each shade. So this is my green one. This is my pink one. I realized I got some minis. These are the minis. These are the regular blending brushes. Absolutely, seriously love these things. They're so fun to just touch. Weird, I'm sorry. But yeah, so they come in sets of 3, and they are fabulous to add color to your images. So we're going to go ahead and use our masks. I'm going to see if this will show up on camera, but yeah, you'll see right there, there's a little number 1. So there are 5 masks in this particular set. They are numbered 1 through 5, so you always know what order to use them in. It makes everything very easy. And I'm just going to kind of twist this until it, there we go, till it follows the pattern there. And I'm going to use painter's tape to kind of secure all this down. I find that my Post-it tape doesn't have quite enough oomph for me. So I just use the painter's tape, and that way I know it's down really well. I also use a little pencil, go Cubs, because if you notice on these masks, let me move this out of the way a little bit, there are little notches. And so what I'm going to do is just draw that little notch out on the paper. And now we're going to take our fresh freesia. And I'm only going to use, like I said, the 2 colors, but I'm going to use multiple layers of them. So it's going to kind of get deepening effects as we go. So I'm going to very lightly brush the fresh freesia. So I could use my pink or my purple brush on this. I couldn't decide because freesia is kind of a very light purple, so it's almost pinky. So I just want a light layer. You can always take a peek, right? So we're going to set that one aside. So this will actually do both kinds of the flowers. So if you've got them both stamped, you can, definitely use one mask at a time and just keep going. So now remember that little notch. I've got one right here. So I'm going to line that notch up again. And it may not be exactly perfect, so you may need to just scooch it a bit, but it's going to get you very close. So you don't have to constantly like, which orientation am I, Do our tape a little bit more again. I do like to tape them down so that neither the cardstock nor the mask moves while I'm working on things. So this time I'm going to add more ink, and I'm going to give a little more pressure so that we get a deeper color of that fresh freesia. And again, we're only layering ink in part of it because this mask has smaller openings. And we've got one more layer to go. So we do want to make sure we leave some room, right, for darkening color. We can hinge this up. So we've got some lighter, we've got some darker, we've got some good tones. And I'll get that closer up to the screen after I'm done with the next step. Use our notch again. This is number 3. So we're just going to line that right up. And again, scooch it just a little bit. The nice part is these masks, somewhere on there will line up to the stamped image so that you can kind of see where you are. All right. And now we're really going to ink this guy up. And I'm going to concentrate on one little opening at a time so that I can get a really good, deep freesia color on each of these. These are fast becoming one of my favorite tools because, I do love my blends. I love to color, which was not always the case. But sometimes I get frustrated because I can't quite make it look, like everybody else. Comparison, right? But these guys just take all that work out of there. You just layer the color on with the openings and boom, there you go. Okay, so we've got a very light freesia, we've got the darker, and then we've got the darkest. So we've got 3 layers of that same color to really give a good professional look to it, right? So now we need leaves. Absolutely love these, like I said. So the leaves are going to be garden green. Again, we're going to use the same color. We're going to do it twice. There's only 2 ones for the leaves. So again, we've got our notch right here, and it'll work with the leaves too. Just scooch it a little bit. Let's tape it down. And I will say, if I was going to use this whole piece, I would be more careful to not get, ink over here, which I already did off the edge. So if you want to keep that all clean, you want to make sure that you are being very careful not to go over the edge of your mask. I'm going to die cut this whole thing, so it doesn't really matter if I've gone over. All right, last one, number 5. And you can see this one's got more detailed for the leaves. Again, we'll just match it up with our little V. Scooch it just a little bit. Everything really does just line up with that stamped image so well. But I'm not surprised, because coordination is one of the things that Stampin' Up! Just does best, right? They just know what they're doing. Thank goodness. Okay, so again, we're going to give more concentrated ink to each leaf this time, because I want to get a good dark detail. I believe my garden green is a really juicy pad, so it was very easy to do this with this. Get our tape out of the way, and voila. There is our gorgeous hydrangea. And like, how easy was that? Like, you could do that watching TV, right? Yeah, I absolutely love the details. So let's die cut this out, because then we don't have to worry about that little notch either, right? So if you do it lightly in pencil, though, you can obviously just erase that when you're done. So I got my big boss out because I do have a wider piece of cardstock. I think this might fit through the mini, but don't quote me on that just yet. I think you're probably going to want the big one anyway. All righty. Once again, you want to get, with the Stampin' Up! Dies, you want to get those edges right up to the stamped image. And run that right through. So for that, I just used a Post-it tape because I just needed to hold it kind of in place. Didn't need to be perfect. And there we have our gorgeous hydrangea. So now let me show you a fun little thing that I did. Because many of my, like thousands of my demonstrator friends went to Onstage, which is our convention, this past weekend. And so one of the fun things that came out of that I saw was one of the women demonstrated. Hello, Joan. So happy to see you. One of the demonstrators demonstrated this particular layout, which is very similar to the walrus sketch that I did. But I have the measurements for you, a little bonus Monday night measurements, because this was posted like all over the internet as well. So I'm going to leave this here for a moment so you can all screenshot if you need to. But it is just a 5 by 3 3/4 inch base. You've got 2.5 inches here, 1 1/4 here. Then this one's coming down 2 3/4, 2 1/4, 2 inches, and 3 inches. So it's just a bit of an offset. And I've taken 4 of the patterns from the designer paper that comes in this suite that goes with the Thankful Garden and made it into this card layer. All right. We're going to take a piece of thick basic white. And I don't remember if I told y'all last week that thick basic white was going away in the 8.5 by 11 size. If I did, just ignore that. Just forget I ever said it, because there was so much feedback from all of us that Stampin' Up! Has decided to keep it in the 8.5 by 11 size, because we all love to make card bases out of it, right? So that's good. Yay! I love that they listened to us. So those 4 pieces I have just mounted on a regular size piece of black. You could separate them and have, you know, black borders in between everything, but I felt like it was easier to line everything up if you just butted it all together, right? So there is that. And then we need some dimensionals because we love those. And I'm going to use quite a few on this hydrangea because I don't want it drooping anywhere, right? Like this is the kind of hydrangea that's fabulous because you don't have to water it or make sure it's in the perfect spot for sunlight. You just get your inks out and it's always looks beautiful and fresh and bloomy. Now we just need a sentiment. So, there it go. I already stamped my sentiment. And I also have a couple of little strips of this particular paper. So one of them, is it this one? Yes, it's going to go inside. And the other one is going to help my sentiment. It's going to give it a little zhuzh. Our favorite new word, right, Penny? All right. Pop that up all the way to the top. And I always cut mine just a little bit longer because I would rather have to just cut off the little bit of excess rather than have it be too short, right? Okay, so here is my sentiment. And here is another little part of that strip of paper. So I'm going to butt those up together. You can either get your trimmer out or let's just do it with snips. Oh, zhuzh is a good one for words with friends. So I'm just going to cut these at the same time at the same angle. And then I'm going to offset them so that that can be a nice little accent piece, right? I'm actually going to use, no, I'm not. I was going to use my Stampin' Seal, but I think it might be too wide for this, and I don't want to get adhesive everywhere. And then we'll just add a little bit of liquid glue to the middle. And voila, fabulous little card. I do want to show you the rest of the designer papers that come with this suite because they are sweet. I am in full silly mode tonight, aren't I? Okay. So we do have some gorgeous designs. And like I said, I did take the colors for that hydrangea out of this particular set of papers. So beautiful florals. And then we've got that nice kind of grid with the garden green. Got a sea of yellow flowers. I have a Band-Aid on this darn index finger and I cannot use it for the life of me. And then the back side is black and white. There's quite a few black and whites. Thanks, Joan. And then we've got more freesia with that beautiful blue background. Love that. And then another black and white. So even if you don't want a floral card, who doesn't love a nice black and white polka dot, right? And then we've just got varying shades of green. And a whole fresh freesia side. This just probably doesn't look freesia in the light here, but it is. And then a riot of very bold flowers on a black or deep gray. Love that too. And more black and white. Just a cool hand-drawn check. Greens and yellows. And another nice black and white. That probably makes you dizzy on camera. I'm trying to think if there's any other. I think that was all of them. Because I have obviously cut up a few. So, yep, that was all of them. So gorgeous set of papers in this pack. Absolutely love it. And the nice thing is, if you have that bundle and you're like, I don't know what color to make everything, just go right to the papers and it'll tell you, right? You can copy off of that, which is what I did. But of course, I have another one to show you because I always do, right? So what I did here was I took the other flower image and I really went to town on this one. So I've used 3 different shades in here. I've got crushed curry, pumpkin pie, and wild wheat. And then I've used 2 different greens, the lemon lime twist and granny apple green for the leaves. And if you'll notice, peeking out here, I've used just the masks for the background. So I've used just those 2 greens and the masks, no stamps, and have put that, I just kind of did a couple of them to give that. And then there's also these great leaf die cuts. There's 2 different leaf die cuts in the die set. So I did those in both greens and layered those in, took that great Spotlight on Nature dies, those beautiful round ones, in the wild wheat, and then I added some gold trim. So we really kind of layered and layered and layered and went a little over the top with this one. So, but I wanted to let you know that you can use those masks just by themselves. You can use the masks and the stamps, or you can use the masks and the stamps and the dies, or you can use just the masks and the dies. There's so many different kind of images you can get with these type of bundles. So definitely take a look at them. We've got the Frosted Forest is another one I have, but there are several others that we do have in the online store. So take a look at those mask bundles because they are gorgeous and so easy to work with. Another thing I wanted to let you know is I do keep a microfiber cloth. Thanks, Joan. In my stamp room, and that is for cleaning my blending brushes. You can wash these, but really I find since I'm dedicating a brush to a shade, I just get most of it off on the cloth, and that's all I do. And then I know I'm ready to go to the next color. If you're working with several colors in the same shade, you always want to work from light to dark so you're not introducing darker shades into your lighter ink pads. Or you want to give them a really, really good clean in between if you need to, for some reason, work from dark to light. Okay, so that's that. Oh yes, one last thing. As I was playing yesterday, I discovered, so in our die bundle, we've got our big die for the hydrangea. We've got our big die for the 2 flower. We have 3 of the different leaf dies, so you can die cut multiples. I love that. And then we've got these standalones, but then there's also these 2. And I thought, well, they look like they might cut out part of these bigger flowers, and they do indeed. So I've stamped each of them here, and this one will cut out the smaller flower. And then this one, it took me a while to find it, but right down here, it will cut out these 3 little flowers in the hydrangea. Thanks, Penny. So I've just kind of outlined them for you there so you know which ones you're looking for. Again, I'll leave this here for a second in case you need to take a screenshot. But those are what those extra little dies are for. They will cut out little parts. So you can, if you want, do that whole, do this whole card, say, and then cut those out and pop those up for some extra dimension. So lots of possibilities with this particular suite. Absolutely love it. Let's see. Need to find my mouse. All right, I've shown you the measurements. I've shown you the DSP. I've shown you the other stamples. Fabulous. Okay, let me pop up here and I will talk to you for a moment. Hello again. I did want to let you know that as a demonstrator, I got to see a sneak peek of the next annual catalog online today. I was not lucky enough to go to Onstage where people got it in their hands. So boo-hoo. But I did get to see it online, and I've only been able to skim it really quick, but it is fabulous as always. That's available to the general public on May 6th. So the current catalog will be good until May 5th, and then the very next day we just flip everything and it goes to the new one, and fabulous. But we have lots to concentrate on between now and then. So there's lots of goodies still to be had, to be played with, all that kind of stuff. So definitely don't feel too badly. But then again, if you feel a little bad, you might want to just join our team, and that way you get early access to everything too. So, all right. So that's all I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. This is your reminder that if you've gotten any inspiration or gotten any new tips or anything, go ahead and tag your bestie in the comments, or share the video with them so that they can be inspired as well. Till next week, I'm still Nan Gerlitz. Happy stamping.